By March of 2020, the coronavirus pandemic was fast descending on the San Francisco Bay Area. Laurel Allen recalls March 12th, 2020.
That morning, we got the news that the Academy would close in a matter of hours, and we scrambled.
Laurel is the Senior Digital Engagement and Community Manager at the California Academy of Sciences.
We knew that what we were feeling, which was just shock that things were actually closing, that it was actually this bad, that this was really happening, was also what all these millions of people who followed us were feeling as well. We knew people were scared. We knew they wanted answers.
Laurel and her team quickly set up a live stream video Q&A with the Academy's Chief of Science, virologist Dr. Shannon Bennett.
Our first question comes from Scott via Twitter. What animal actually started coronavirus? I've heard bats, pangolins, rats, and others.
That's a great question. You could almost answer that humans started it because it was probably human activities that brought us in contact with the non-human animal host of this virus.
We just literally tracked her down in the building and found her and set everything up and did it. And right after we did it, everybody packed up and went home.
The live stream became the first of a series of virtual Q&As conducted with Academy scientists during the pandemic.
I think science can and does and has for a long time come to the rescue. Now we're at a point where almost people need to come to science's rescue also. That's really the challenge now.
In an age when social media has often been used to spread misinformation, the role of science communicators is more important now than ever.
Every time I shared anything about space, it was basically an invitation to all the people who think that the moon landing was fake.
Okay, let's track them through these procedures now.
There are 1,000 reasons why people are convinced of things that are not true. We have to be empathetic and just start with, tell me why you think that.
While the Academy is closed to the public due to the pandemic, its social media channels remain a vital bridge with the community.
Whether we're talking about the viruses or whether we're talking about losing coral reefs all over the world or the state of the rainforest or any of these other big, crazy, depressing, difficult things to wade through or deal with, things that are so hard that you don't even want people to tell you about them half the time, there are people in those areas that know what to do next.
Virologist Dr. Shannon Bennett is among the scientists around the world who have focused on the coronavirus since the pandemic began.
In the case of pandemics like coronavirus, there's really no question that we would be completely incapable of responding to this pandemic without solid science, and science that's more powerful today than ever before. So many new technologies are emerging because of a long history of supporting science.
Dr. Bennett's work involves tracking the sequences of the virus as it travels and mutates.
Specifically, what scientists do, and what I'm doing, is taking virus sequences that are posted publicly and then looking at how they're related to other known viruses that are also posted publicly. And then you put them in a kind of a family tree, just like you might accumulate for your uncles and aunts and cousins and brothers and sisters. And that tells you who is most related to whom. And so with the coronaviruses, I'm specifically just working with a group of state surveillance laboratories. We have a group called COVIDNet, where we meet every other week to look at the emerging sequences coming out of California and ask questions like, how might major urban centers be connected?
This work is vital as we seek to contain the virus and emerge from the pandemic.
Today's science is very collaborative, and it's exciting actually to be a scientist today, especially because all the information is being shared openly, whether it's sequences from China from the very beginning of the epidemic to even today ongoing. These sequences are available to everybody to look at and to collaborate over.
Our relationship with nature can impact our risk of facing pandemics.
In a diverse system that includes humans, we don't face an onslaught of pathogens and pandemics at the scale that we're facing now. It's not to say that we need to pave nature or eliminate nature or stay away from nature or disinclude ourselves from nature. We actually need to connect with nature. We need to be a part of the diverse natural system that forms our planet, not exploiting it, not pulling from it and degrading it. We know now, like we've never known before, that we're all interconnected and we all share common ancestry with all forms of life. Think of it as your extended family, especially in COVID where you can't see your family. Your family is out there all around you in these rich natural systems.
The Sonoma Ecology Center has created a community science program at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park. Tony Passantino is the center's education program manager.
We can tell people information, but it's so much more valuable if the people of the community themselves are out in the field at Sugarloaf conducting the research alongside us. We have the privilege at Sugarloaf to really guide people on a journey to get to the answers themselves and have that aha moment. And that's where you really get things to sink in permanently, as opposed to me telling them and them just believing me on the basis of I'm standing there and I've got a uniform on.
The Community Science Project is collecting data on the recent fires that have burned through the area.
There are still a percentage of people who do not believe in climate change. With the wildfires and with the droughts and also with the flooding, we're clearly seeing the effects of global warming and climate change. And though we can't prove climate change with our independent study at Sugarloaf Park, we can definitely show evidence of climate changing in our valley through that.
The Monterey Bay Aquarium has continued to expand its online presence during the pandemic. Patrick Webster works on the social media content creation team.
The ocean is the defining characteristic of our planet. If you were getting directions in the solar system asking how do I find Earth, the aliens are going to say, oh, find the one with the water on it.
The aquarium's live streaming cams have attracted online viewers from near and far.
There's all these different ways of measuring your impact on social and on your website with pure numbers and metrics. But I think often the things that are even more impactful, I think for us to understand what these cameras are doing for the world is when people feature them in big installations or in different venues. We've had our Moon Jelly Cam projected up on the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. Our jelly cam was used in Australia by the city of Melbourne and featured in a few different public spaces for people to just enjoy jellies over in Australia.
Engaging people with this content can be the first step in achieving bigger conservation goals.
People can't help us with the ocean if they don't love the ocean, if they don't care about the ocean, if they don't have a connection to the ocean, if they don't know somebody who talks about the ocean, who makes them feel good about what's going on. All those things have to be met until you can tell somebody, hey, here's this piece of legislation that we need you to tell folks not to vote for. They'll be like, hey, you know what, Aquarium? You had my back with the jelly cam. I'll write that email. As a society, we need to rethink our relationship with science. It's not a superhero that comes in and saves the day all the time. It's not an ethereal thing that occurs away from you. You're a part of science by being a part of a society that has built itself up with its innovations. And that's every culture around the world.
The Monterey Bay Aquarium loaned one of its ultra-cold freezers to the Natividad Medical Center so that the hospital would be able to store the first Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine shipments.
Science is out there and operating this Zoom call. It's making sure that the pumps are functioning at the aquarium. It's making sure that the vaccines are being stored at the adequate temperature and distributed. It's a whole bunch of science.